Joining us right now, a first-timer, Dave Martinez. He is editor-in-chief of Empire of Soccer. Dave, welcome and sorry for the delay, my friend. How are you?
Anthony, with those kind of guests, I can completely understand. How are you, sir?
Well, you're just as good as guests as they are, my friend. I'm very good. We really appreciate you making time. Dave, let's get right to it. Let's dissect both of these New York teams. Two of them are right now getting ready in preseason. One has more of the pressure on them than the other. I believe the Red Bulls have a ton of pressure for them to get the job done and get to the final and win it all, and less pressure by New York City FC. Let's start with the Red Bulls. Dax McCarty, outspoken at the end of the year, not happy about a lot of things. The Red Bulls this year really focused on getting the job done. What do you think needs to change for them to get to the final and win it all?
Well, as of right now, it's interesting for me to see all of these betting lines having the Red Bulls as the favorite to take the MLS Cup. And what makes it interesting to me is, as dominant as they were last year, every team that goes into the offseason looks to get better, looks to bring in pieces to make themselves better. The Red Bulls have gone a different route. They've gone through a youth process, going through homegrown players, haven't necessarily signed any veterans, and are comfortable enough with their current system, their current starting 11, to compete just as they did last year. You're right, there is pressure on the Red Bulls this year to succeed and possibly to challenge for that MLS Cup. But I would have to disagree with you on which team has more pressure to succeed. I do think New York City FC, considering their failures last year and the investment made, they're under a bit more pressure under Patrick Vieira with the star players that they have on board to at least make the playoffs this year, to at least show some improvement, because that is a team that is highly touted, well invested, and should be doing better than they were. I mean, understandable, they're an expansion club, but with names like Andrea Pirlo and Lampard, it's kind of tough to not be in the postseason. So with both clubs, I look at the Red Bull situation. I do think they'll be contenders yet again this year, but I fear that once again, as last year, their depth might be a bit shallow. And for NYCFC, they have gotten better. They have brought in better pieces. It's just a matter of seeing how that's all going to mesh and to see if they can actually be competitive this year.
So let's talk about New York City FC then, if you believe that they have a lot more of the pressure and the spotlight on them this year. I believe that this is a veteran-laden squad. I believe they're going to struggle once the middle of the season kicks around. And I believe that unless they start inserting some good, young, fresh legs into this lineup, they're going to struggle because they're going to get into that middle of that season, those long, hot, hazy, humid days in the summer. And I believe that some of their veterans like Pirlo, like Villa, on and on, could struggle once again. What do you believe is the key for them to not fall into that trap? Is it making sure that some of these youngsters are in there? Is it making sure that Vieira has an understanding of MLS early on and what it takes to win?
I think the understanding of year one is certainly going to help the European veterans that are coming back. My main concern this year is not so much the defense. They've bolstered that. We still have to see how these foreign signings will do in MLS, but that has been improved over last year. Josh Saunders had a great year. There's no reason to think that he wouldn't have another outstanding year this year. What concerns me is how exactly you're going to fit in Lampard and Andrea Pirlo in a system in the midfield and shield the defense from what will be a very slow gut. That Lampard and Grella simply do not have the wheels they used to have, and they would need somebody, at the very least, to play the box-to-box midfield role. Somebody has to do it. If Pirlo's going to be sitting back pinging balls and Lampard's going to be up front somewhere with forwards, somebody has to be there doing the dirty work, the grunt work. If that is the case, then you have three roles on the midfield already taken up. Who is going to be the breakout winger? There's a lot of questions in that, in just the general makeup of the NYCFC roster, which I still believe, I said it last year, all of last year, I'm saying it again now, I believe that midfield, the way that's put together, the pieces that they have, it's very flawed. And it'll be interesting to see how Patrick Vieira deploys his side. Who's going to be the person to break out on the wings, to stretch a defense? As of right now, if it's Poku, McNamara, it's the same players as last year. Mixed Discroot still doesn't have a home anywhere on the field. There's a lot of question marks with NYCFC, and that's why I say they have more pressure. There's more invested in the team. There's more expectations upon the team. Manchester City clearly has their eye on the product, particularly with Patrick Vieira, and they have to perform. How they're going to do that with those slow veteran legs in a young, fast, tough MLS remains to be seen.
So then let me ask you this, Dave, before we turn on to the Red Bulls page. I still don't understand for the life of me why New England Revolution let go of a young guy that all he ever did was score in the NCAA, score when needed to score for New England, and that's Patrick Mullins. He chipped in some good, important goals last year for this squad. How important, how big of a role will he get this year?
Well, Patrick is going to be relied upon, and we've already seen that in preseason. They liked what they saw to Patrick Mullins last year. He has a certain understanding of David Villa, and he will be important to the overall makeup of the offense. But then again, you have to look at who's going to be getting the passes out to both Mullins and Villa. Somebody has to be on the outside. Somebody has to be on the wings, feeding the strikers in the middle, and I'm just not seeing anybody stepping up into that role. Now, perhaps if Patrick Vieira decides to deploy his fullbacks in an aggressive manner, you would have Ronald Matarrita, who has some speed and accuracy on offense. Perhaps he'll be able to dig in and be the person that will be able to send in a couple of dangerous crosses. But for as talented as Villa and Mullins are, and you're absolutely right, Patrick Mullins is a gem in my eyes as well, it remains to be seen whether or not they'll be seeing enough of the ball. If you have a solid defense, but your midfield is slow and they can't shuttle the ball towards you, you're going to have problems all season long, and that seems to me to be the flaw in this club. You have two fantastic players with fantastic resumes in Lampard and Villa, but seeing the two of them in that midfield is going to make them very, very slow compared to teams around the league.
Dave, let's turn the page to the Red Bulls before we let you go. I think a guy that doesn't get enough respect from me on this squad is Mike Grella. I love his style. He's aggressive, he's hungry, he's passionate, he wears his heart on his sleeve, he leaves it all out there. Will this guy have a breakout year?
Well, I think he had a breakout year last year. He really put everybody on notice. I mean, this is a person, Mike Grella, who during the offseason was passed up by both New York City FC and the New York Cosmos of the NASL. He was a journeyman through Europe, journeyman through the lower leagues, and suddenly last season he breaks out with a ton of goals, some really inspiring play, and a lot of skill. He found his comfort level in Jesse Marsh's system. Having said that, I believe that Mike Grella is the player on the bubble this year for the New York Red Bulls, simply because Gonzalo Verón, who is their designated player, will now have a full season with the team. And I know for a fact that management is looking towards Verón to have a breakout season. So who does he replace? He's not going to replace Sasha Klestra and Felipe McCarty. So you have to start looking at the wings. You look at Lloyd Sam, he's a bit older, but he's always reliable, and he's always an offensive threat. And then there's Mike Grella, who had this standout year last year. He plays in a position where Gonzalo had really, he's really succeeded in Argentina on the left wing. That's where he kind of made his mark. It's not necessarily where he likes to play, but he has shown great success on that side. So it'll be a war between Verón and Grella this year. And it'll be up to Grella to show that he has enough to stave off the highly paid and highly respected, really, Verón. There's a lot of expectations on both players, and I think that's the matchup to watch this preseason. That's going to be the depth war to watch this season for the Red Bulls, and it'll be one that will define the year.
Dax McCarty, to me, is the guy that stirs the drink for this team. Dax McCarty, to me, is a guy that has never gotten the respect he deserves for Jurgen Klinsmann, just like Benny Feilhaber, two guys that have been passed over time and time again. They leave it all out there. Dax McCarty speaks from his heart. He loves New York City, and a guy that I think is going to bring his game to another level. I really believe that the sour taste in his mouth, the way everything finished last year, is going to elevate this guy to another level. And I believe in the locker room, he's going to grab guys by the scruff of the neck and he's going to say, look, it ain't going to happen what happened last year. Tune in right from the start. Am I off or am I on, Dave, on that?
You are 100% on with that. I mean, look, when Thierry Henry left, there was definitely a gaping hole in leadership. Dax McCarty filled it well, not only being the competitive Dax McCarty that we all know, but he also tended to pick up some of the tendencies of Thierry Henry as well. The ability to walk away from a win angry because you could have done better. A game where you score a goal, come off the field, and you're still complaining because the defense didn't do its job at some point, even after victories. Dax McCarty became a person last year as the leader of this club who was never satisfied with the results, and I think he took some of that from Thierry Henry. Already this year, he's barking, he's angry, he's looking for the next challenge, and that is what you need. You don't want complacency at this level. The Red Bulls have already won the Supporters' Shield twice. I think that is a remarkable thing for a franchise that really hasn't won anything before the 19 years that they were in existence. And I think that at this point now, with 2 under their belt, it's become old hat. They are looking for MLS Cup. They are looking to succeed, to take this team to the next level. This is going to be the second year of Ali Curtis and Jesse Marsh. I don't believe that either one of them is under fire, so to speak, in losing their position. However, year 2 at New York Red Bulls or the Metro Stars back in the day has always been very important as far as leadership and management of the team goes. There's always heavy turnover. I think that while things are very positive in Red Bull land, I think that is somewhere behind in the back of the minds of all the players and management itself. So they can't sit on their laurels. They can't say we won the Supporters' Shield. We're not going to come into this season thinking we're champions. No, they have come out very directly and said we're going back to work. We're still not satisfied. We're still the underdogs. And Dax McCarty is one of those players, probably the principal one, that really leads that charge, that leads that message. So I'm with you. McCarty maybe passed over for the U.S., but he is everything an MLS team would want in a leader and a midfielder. I mean, New York City FC would be a different player if they had McCarty in the midfield alongside Lampard and Pirlo. They wouldn't have the problems they're having now. I find him to be invaluable, and he's going to be, as he was last year, the personification of the team.
Dave, outstanding of you to make time to join us. We really appreciate it. As we let you go, where can people follow you on Twitter?
Great. So if you want to follow me on Twitter, I'm constantly connected on Empire of Soccer, so at Empire of Soccer. Visit my website, empireofsoccer.com. We're doing a lot of great things over there. We cover not just New York City FC and the Red Bulls, but the New York Cosmos, NASL, USL, all the kind of goodies that you would want from a site that's covering New York soccer. We're going to have videos soon. We're debuting a podcast soon. So stick with us. Give us a follow. And Anthony, I just want to thank you so much for your patience and for having me on. For the listeners out there, we've been kind of talking about this for a few weeks now. And life keeps on happening on my side of the coin, so I'm finally glad to be on board. And this has been a blast. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it, Dave. Don't worry. I'm a parent of 2 boys, and my wife and I, we remember those days when they were small and young. They needed our attention, and so I truly understand that and respect that. And I tell you, I'm looking at your site now, and you got a story up about the Chicago Sting and NASL, and it brings back memories for me. I'm probably double your age, but when I think of Chicago Sting, I think of Pato Margetic, and I think of the great footwork, and I think of the Sting and the Soccer Bowl and the Toronto Blizzard, on and on. Those were great days. Loved the jerseys back then, the Chicago Wars. So I implore and ask everyone to go read this story that Davis got up there in the Empire of Soccer, Chicago Sting, and unfortunately, that group no longer part of the negotiations. Dave, thanks again. Don't be a stranger. Love to get you back on as the season approaches, my friend.
Absolutely love it. Thank you very much for your patience, for your time, and again, had a blast. Do it anytime.